Hi, Steve Cooper, Rank Success, and this is the second video of 2022, the first one being around transformation and the transformation process that you will put yourself through in order to arrive at a well-prepared state for your promotion interview or selection process. So getting to the best position you can through putting yourself through that transformation process. This second video of the new year I think is quite relevant because I want to talk about high potential and your potential to succeed in a promotion process. And when I talk about high potential, sometimes when I before the pandemic, before we did some face-to-face promotion masterclasses, I would generally ask people to raise their hands, and I would say, well, who here has got high potential? And there's almost like a tentative kind of, well, I think I have, and I say, okay, could I now have a full show of hands, please, straight up, because every single one of you have high potential, and that's very much around the mindset with which you start to approach the task of getting yourself promoted. And high potential, when I ask people to kind of describe what it is, they think, well, that's generally for fast track or really talented people. Well, that's you. You just haven't done the work to get there or to think about what high potential is. Now, there is some information that's provided for fast track candidates by the College of Policing, which summarises and points to and indicates what high potential can be. And essentially that's around three key areas: so cognitive capacity, leadership and communication, and your personal drive. Now, I'd start with personal drive first, because to get promoted, to get through a promotion selection process and to do it well, you've got to have a degree of personal drive. So commitment to your self-development. And I've done videos on CPD. What does your CPD look like at the moment? Focusing on delivery. What are you actually delivering? It's all very well going and saying, well, I'm currently an experienced operational officer and I've had this experience and I've got this amount of knowledge. What have you done? What have you delivered? What have you actually been able to achieve in terms of outcomes and results? Because that's another way of thinking about it. Constructive ambition. Do you have some idea about what you want to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years? So having some kind of plan is important, and certainly is for promotion as well. So personal drive is something that's important, and as I've alluded to in previous videos, sometimes particularly in the Met, some of their previous, over the last few years, language in their promotion candidate guidance has been very much around, if you haven't got drive, if you haven't got determination, enthusiasm, motivation, and you're not inspired, then don't go for promotion. It's you're unlikely to probably be quite comfortable with it. So personal drive is one area of high potential. Cognitive capacity. Your cognitive capacity is another. So do you demonstrate, in the College of Policing's guidance, they talk about, do you demonstrate broader thinking and awareness? Well, I've done some videos and some blogs on that around helping you to develop your strategic thinking, depending on which rank you're going for. And it certainly kicks in at sergeant to inspector and then inspector to chief inspector, but the kick in is sergeant to inspector. So I've blogged around that. So the strategic aspects of the role of an inspector I've blogged about, but broader thinking and awareness. What are you doing to develop and raise your own awareness around the challenges facing policing now, going forward over the next couple of years, and then perhaps 5-10 years down the road? Do you know about that? So what are your thoughts around that? Problem solving capacity. So what, again, that links back to the personal drive aspect, really. What have you done? What have you achieved? How do you normally approach problems? And you'll know that when I've talked about that before previously, I talk about you never mention or think about problem solving without kind of spinning the NDM, without talking about SARA and PAT, so scan, analyze, respond and assess, or the problem analysis triangle. So what kind of problem-orientated policing models are you thinking about using, that you have used or that you apply to your thinking? So, and how do you generally approach problems and think them through? And the NDM is a great way of doing that. So thinking through, what information have you got? gather, analyse, verify, assess, and check that information before you move on to assessing and identifying and assessing and working through the risks. What policy and guidance and powers have you got? What options and contingencies are you thinking about and working through? And ultimately, how do you make your decisions and then learn from them, as an individual or as a team, or identifying organisational learning. So 3 kind of key areas: personal drive, cognitive capacity, and then there's the aspect of leadership and communication. Now, leadership for people, performance and change is the name of the game. If you're going for promotion, you're looking to lead a team leader as a sergeant, lead teams and more widely as an inspector, and then leading more strategically, perhaps departments or areas, as a chief inspector. So leadership and communication are areas of high potential. So doing that work helps you understand whether you have that high potential. So are you an inspirational role model? That's what the College of Policing says. Well, what does that mean? You could spend an afternoon just thinking that question through. Are you? What's the evidence to support that? Emotional intelligence, I've done big blogs on that and podcasts. So you're not going to get very far, says Daniel Goleman, if you haven't got emotional intelligence. There's a specific competency. We're emotionally aware that you need to do some work on and think through and work through to then reflect upon, which is a key part of emotional intelligence, whether you have it, and if so, in what degree, and then how are you going to use that in terms of moving forward, in terms of your promotion aspirations and leading people. So leadership for people, performance and change is important. And under the previous category I was talking about, cognitive capacity, implementing change is another way of saying, what have you done? How would you, or how have you implemented change, whether that's working practices in the workplace, whether you've been involved in any wider change programs. What change models do you know about? Which one was used? Which one did you use? Do you know which one you used? Do you know which one you were involved in that project? Do you know which ones the force were thinking through, and how that actually worked out for the outcome? And generally, cognitive capacity, leadership and communication, and personal drive are the 3 headers in the College of Policing's definition of high potential. So having a think through some of those, having a work through some of those, making down some notes from what I'm saying perhaps, and then having a look at some of my blogs, my podcasts, my YouTubes. Download a free promotion guide. There's also specific bespoke digital toolkits for Sergeant, Inspector and Chief Inspector that you can download. There's a 4-hour promotion masterclass that covers these issues. But just to arrive back at that point, do you have high potential? Yes, you do. It might just not be developed yet. So it's very much around developing, raising your awareness of what high potential is, realising that you do have it. And if you realise that you don't have all of that yet, then you can get to work on doing that. So, although the College of Policing talk about high potential as, and you'll find it in the fast track guidance, I believe it should be available to everybody. It is if you go find it. I've just told you how to find it, but have a look at it. Do an honest, mature self-assessment against it and those categories, and then see where you are with it, because it's a great place to start, and it's great, food for thought and to work through and think through. So just quickly, that's roughly what the College of Policing's guidance looks like. You'll see it in my digital guides. I've got permission to use that template from the College of Policing, but you'll see lined up on those 3 columns: cognitive capacity with its 3 building blocks, broader thinking and awareness, problem solving capacity, and implementing change underneath. Leadership and communication as the central column, influential leadership, inspirational role model, emotional intelligence, and effective and adaptable communication ability in the middle column. And then on the right hand column you've got personal drive, commitment to self-development, and CPD, which I've blogged on, as I've said before, focus on delivery, consistently seeing tasks through to completion, and constructive ambition. You stand out from the crowd due to your influence on peers without having to highlight your own achievements. And certainly for me, so that's just some of the guidance that appears in there, but certainly for me, I want you to stand out on a promotion board. Many of my testimonials say exactly that. You know, not only did the board highlight my performance on the board, they actually asked me to remain behind and asked me, how did you prepare? What did you do? Because they stood out. And you can enable yourself to stand out from the crowd, from your peers, if you like, by doing and applying yourself to this thinking and committing yourself to this development. Because it's not just something you're doing for a board, it's something you're doing for your wider development and to help you in that difficult and challenging kind of aftermath once you are successful and you get your stripes or your pips or that extra pip to actually work through and to move through certainly that transition aspect in the new rank. So high potential is something I wanted to focus on early on in this year, because all of you've got it. You may not know you've got it yet, but go and have a look at the College of Policing's guidance on high potential and then do that honest, mature assessment against it of yourself to see where your gaps are and then start working on some of those gaps. As I say, the digital toolkits that I have that you can download straight away are available for you. There's a 4-hour promotion masterclass which covers many of these themes. It's all there if you want to do it, but you know, it's part of your personal drive, if you like, as to what you choose to do from now on. But whatever you choose to do, I wish you all the very best, and I'll be back with another video in this new year shortly. Take care, stay safe.